My name is John Kricker, and I am the principal trombonist for Orchestra Miami. I'm going to be speaking with you today for a little while about the trombone. I hope you enjoy it. A little about myself. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Believe it or not, I'm a native Floridian. Yes, that's right. I went to Banyan Elementary School. I grew up 3 blocks away from Tropical Park on Bird Road. And let's see, in 6th grade, I began to play an instrument called the song flute, which is very much like a recorder. You blow into it and cover the holes with your fingers, and so we learned some songs, and I knew I liked music. And when I went to junior high school, I decided I was going to join the band. Yes. So get there, and lo and behold, I don't end up in the saxophone class. I end up in the brass class somehow, in beginning band brass instruments. And so there were some instruments sitting on a table. The band director came out, and he picked up the first one, the French horn, and he blew into a little bit, and I didn't really like the sound. He picked up a trumpet, played a couple bugle calls. It wasn't really that interesting to me. Then he picked up a trombone, very much like this. This is a regular trombone here. And so he picked up the trombone, and he did this. And we thought that was the funniest thing we ever heard. We were just dying laughing, just about fell out of our chairs. We begged him to do it again, and he did it again, and we just laughed even harder. So that's why I started playing the trombone. And then eventually, while I was at University of Miami, is when I started getting interested in orchestral music. And I started playing with some orchestras. I played with the Miami City Ballet and some different orchestras from Miami, Palm Beach, and Fort Lauderdale, and playing with rock and roll bands, then working in recording studios and traveling around. And it all started with and now here I am. Okay, so what about the trombone? Well, the trombone is a brass instrument. A brass instrument. The brass instrument family is called that because the instruments themselves are made out of brass. You can see this one's very shiny. It's made out of brass. They all have a mouthpiece. And in the mouthpiece, we buzz our lips. We have to go, and we buzz into this mouthpiece. And you can see, mouthpiece has a part that sits on our lips, and it has an area that's called the cup. And you blow into it, it collects the buzz that we make, the vibration, and puts it into a little hole, which then goes into the trombone. So, everything we do is right there. And a trombone is more or less like a resonator. You can think of the brass instrument as a resonator. It's resonating the sound that we're buzzing into this mouthpiece. All right. And a trombone can do a few other things. It can make funny sounds like you heard. It can also play nice melodies. Like this is a part of a Bordoni etude, something that trombone players regularly practice, actually. Okay, and also the trombone can be a solo instrument, and sometimes can play something like this. called Getting Sentimental Over You. And so this is a regular, normal trombone that you would see in a band or something. Now I'm going to bring out another trombone. Aha! This one's a little bit bigger. This is the kind of trombone that you would normally see in an orchestra. And this trombone is a little bit bigger. The mouthpiece actually is a little bit deeper to give a bigger sound. The tubing is a bigger diameter, so the whole trombone is a little bit larger. It's not any longer or shorter, but the tubing itself is bigger, and the bell, this bell is 8.5 inches. The last one was only 8 inches, so it's a little bit bigger bell. And it also has a valve on it, and it's called an F attachment. And this attachment actually gives us extra tubing to help us to play, so we don't have to move the slide like this so much. As you saw, I don't have to move the arm out so far. And it extends the range a little bit. We can play a few lower notes. Now, to play those lowest notes, you do still have to put the slide all the way out, because once the valve is down here, and you can get pretty low on a trombone, which is another thing. So the trombone can play pretty low, can also play pretty high. So it has quite a lot of range from low to high. It can go down to the tuba range and up into the trumpet range. So that's kind of unique in the brass family as well, where this is a tenor voice, but it can become a soprano voice, and it can also become a bass voice if necessary. Then there's one other kind I'm going to show you today, and let me see here. Yes, this is called a bass trombone. The bass trombone is bigger still. The tubing on it is even bigger than the tubing that was on the large bore, the orchestra tenor. And you can see the bell is also larger. This one, I told you, 8.5 inches in diameter. This one is 9.5 inches in diameter. And there's some bells that are 10 and 10.5 inch in diameter, actually. So this trombone has 2 valves on it, because it plays mostly low stuff, although it can play in the tenor range as well. It's designed to play more in the low register, and they give it 2 valves. Why another valve? Because it gives it more technique, makes it a little easier to switch through the notes. Like before, I was playing, but instead of going, I can do by using 2 valves. All right, yes. So here the bass drum, and like I said, it's still so it still has a range that goes fairly high as well. So the bass trombone can go as well up there. Let's see. I was supposed to also mention something that's been maybe a highlight in my career playing, and there's been lots of them, playing with major stars like Bocelli or Pavarotti, Frank Sinatra, things like that, traveling. But there is something that's quite interesting, and involves the bass trombone. You see, in Orchestra Miami, one of the reasons that I enjoy playing with them so much is that we do a variety of things. We play music that can be concert music, orchestral music. Sometimes we do opera overtures. Sometimes we do oratorios. Uh, Sometimes we do small chamber music things. Sometimes we're playing for little kids. And little kids, that's what brings me to this next story. Um, Anybody ever call you, hey, you're a turkey? What a turkey. No one wants to be called a turkey. Well, um, once upon a time, Elaine Rinaldi called me up and asked me if I wanted to be a turkey. Well, that's not exactly what she said. But she asked me if I wanted to play this wonderful piece that was a children's story set to music, and it was called Tough Turkey in the Big City. It's about this turkey named Tom that leaves the farm and goes to New York, and then he finds out in the end it's much better to live on the farm. Anyway, the main character, the instrument for the main character is the bass trombone, because all the characters in the story have an instrument. There's a violin that's a rooster, a goose that's a clarinet, trumpet is the duck, trombone, bass trombone is the turkey. And I had to play a few things like this. And so on and so forth. That was supposed to be the turkey strolling along, so you can see how that was. So, Tough Turkey in the Big City. It's really a good thing. Look it up and try to check that out. I hope you enjoyed the trombone. And so remember, yeah, we had our regular trombone. It's like just a regular trombone, like you'll see someone start on. Or you might see playing in a band or something. Then we have our symphony tenor, or trombone with the F attachment, the bass trombone, and as I close now, I'd like to finish with a little, the ending of a nice old song that's called "I'll Be Seeing You."